Hello and welcome to another Magic the Gathering unboxing. So today we're going to be looking at the second of the 5 Magic the Gathering Commander decks for 2016. This particular one is called Entropic Uprising, and it features Yidris Maelstrom Wielder as the lead commander. It's a blue, black, red, green deck. And if you remember, the one we looked at a couple of days ago was Breya, Ethereum Shaper, which was the white, blue, black, red commander. There's some stuff in the first video where I go into a bit of detail about the whole partner mechanic, which we'll see what that is in a moment. But if you haven't watched the first video yet, it's definitely worthwhile going back to that. Watch it first, because I go into quite a big detail, which I won't be going into on this video, about the whole partner design space, how that works. So going back to Yidris, Yidris has Trample on it and also Cascade, and once we open up the deck we'll have a closer look at this particular card. It says there's four legendary foils. That's the same in all the decks. The alternate commanders in this deck are on the back here. We can see is Thrasios, Triton Hero, which is green blue, Vial Smasher the Fierce, which is black red, and Kaidel Chosen of Crucifix, which is green blue. So basically, in order that we can use our partners as the commander and not have to really modify the deck, then there's only certain ways, as you can see, you can pair these up to give you the required 4 colours to maintain that colour identity that you need. So we'd have to use Thrasios and partner it with Vial Smasher, or Kaidel and partner that with Vial Smasher. If we partnered Thrasios with Kaidel, then that basically just gives us a colour identity of green-blue, which means we'd have to massively redesign this deck. But as I've said, I go into a bit more about the whole massive machinations of the partner mechanic in the previous video. Entropic Uprising. Yidris Maelstrom Wielder harnesses raw chaotic energy to obliterate his foes, channeling the Maelstrom at Alara's centre. He cares little for long-term plans, referring to unleash bursts of devastation upon anything in his path. So there's a 100-card deck here. There's 4 foil commanders, 1 foil oversized card of the lead commander, 10 double-sided token cards, a deck storage box, a deck strategy insert, and the Magic Quick reference guide. So let's open this up, go through the deck. As with the previous video, I'm going to dwell a bit more on the rare and the mythics in this deck. And again, of course, with rarity, it's a bit of a strange thing in the deck, because it's not like we're opening boosters here, so this is more of like an applied rarity. Okay, so let's just have a look at the deck guide. So on one side of the deck guide, we've sort of got an explanation of what Commander is, how to play the game. So there's a bit about Commander, a bit about how to play the game, and in the middle there's sort of some backstory about the lead commander Yidris, and then the alternate commanders available through the partner ability, which is Kaidel, Thrasios, and Vial Smasher the Fierce. And on the flip side, again, it has a deck breakdown here, and we'll probably find there's quite a few similar cards in here in terms of the land and probably some of the artifacts. I suspect a lot of these artifacts you're going to see across multiple decks as I unbox the videos. There's our oversized foil card, our deck, and this is our little quick reference guide that just tells you how to play Magic generally. So let's focus in on this. Okay, so Yidris Maelstrom Wielder, or Welder, is it? Blue, black, red, green for a 5/4 legendary creature ogre wizard. It's got trample, and whenever Yidris Maelstrom Wielder deals combat damage to a player, as you cast spells from your hand this turn, they gain Cascade. It's pretty cool. I just noticed down there there's some sort of... Oh, that's interesting. That's actually an anomaly there. We have a misprint. Although it's not too bad. It's actually over the reminder text for Cascade. So when you cast a spell, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card that costs less. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. Put something... I think let's put the revealed cards, on the bottom of your library in any order. Yeah, so we got a additional foiling there. I don't know if you can see that. Hang on. It's very strange. There's like the Magic the Gathering flame logo is sort of repeated there. Very strange. Okay, next up we have Kydel, Chosen of Kruphix. 2 green blue, 2/3 legendary creature human wizard. Tap, add generic mana to your mana pool for each card you've drawn this turn. I said sorry, tap, add colourless mana to your mana pool for each card you've drawn this turn. Partner, you can have 2 commanders if they both have partner. Thrasios, Triton Hero. Green blue for a 1/3 legendary creature merfolk wizard. 4 scry 1, then reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, otherwise draw a card. And again, it's got partner on it. Vial Smasher the Fierce. 1 black red for a 2/3 legendary creature Goblin Berserker. Whenever you cast your first spell each turn, Vial Smasher the Fierce deals damage equal to that spell's converted mana cost to an opponent chosen at random, and obviously also partner on there. And we've got the tokens. So there's Elf Warrior and Zombie, Elf Warrior, a Zombie, Goblin, and a Zombie. Lots of zombie tokens here. The Goblin and Zombie. Worm token with a zombie, worm and zombie, worm and zombie, worm zombie, worm zombie, and goblin zombie. So somewhere in here there's lots of zombies being generated. Okay, Satyr Wavefinder is in here. Wall of Blossoms, Coiling Oracle, Spellheart Chimera, Gamekeeper, Bloodbraid Elf. So we're going to see probably quite a few Cascade cards, of which that is one. Horizon Chimera. There's a Soul Ring, Fell War Stones. So some of these we've seen in the previous deck. Rakdos Signet. So we got a signet that's going to help us with black-red. Simic Signet. For green-blue. We've got Commander Sphere in here. Whisper Silk Cloak. Frenzied Fugue. Chain of Vapour. There's a charm in here in the form of the Rakdos charm. It's a modal card. Ancient Excavation. Bituminous Blast. Windfall. Parting Thoughts. Far Wanderings. It's going to help get some basic land. Grave Upheaval. Treasure Cruises in the deck. Treacherous Terrain. And a couple of islands. And now we're moving on to a rare. This is Gobbling Spymaster, 2 and a red. Creature Goblin Rogue, 2/1. First strike at the beginning of each opponent's end step. That creature creates a 1/1 red goblin creature token with creatures you control attack each combat if able. Runehorn Hellkite, 5 and a red for a 5/5 creature dragon with flying. 5 and a red, exile Runehorn Hellkite from your graveyard. Each player discards his or her hand, then draws 7 cards. Boom Pile. 4 artifact. Tap, flip a coin. If you win the flip, destroy all non-land permanents. Curtain's Call. 5 and a black. Instant with Undaunted. So this spell costs 1 less to cast for each opponent. Destroy 2 target creatures. Crawl Entertainment, 6 and a black sorcery. Choose target player and another target player. The first player controls the second player during the second player's next turn, and the second player controls the first player during the first player's next turn. Past in Flames, 3 and a red sorcery. Each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to its mana cost. Flashback of 4 and a red. Ghastly Conscription. 5 and 2 black sorcery. Exile all creature cards from target player's graveyard in a face down pile. Shuffle that pile, then manifest those cards. To manifest a card, put it onto the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature. Turn it face up any time for its mana cost if it's a creature card. Army of the Damned, 5 and 3 black sorcery. Oh, here we go. So create 13 tapped 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. Flashback 7 and 3 black. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost, then exile it. Academy Elite, 3 and a blue creature human wizard, 0/0. Academy Elite enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of instants and sorcery cards in all graveyards. 2 and a blue, remove a +1/+1 counter from Academy Elite, draw a card, then discard a card. Sangromancer, 2 and 2 black, 3/3 creature vampire shaman with flying. When a creature an opponent controls dies, you may gain 3 life. Whenever an opponent discards a card, you may gain 3 life. Glintine Nephilim. So we've got a Nephilim in this deck. Blue, black, red, green. Creature Nephilim, 2/2. When Glintine Nephilim deals combat damage to a player, draw that many cards. 1, discard a card. Glintine Nephilim gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Aeon Chronicler, 3 and 2 blue. For creature avatar, power toughness star. Aeon Chronicler's power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in your hand. So spend X 3 blue, X can't be 0. Whenever a time counter is removed from Aeon Chronicler while it's exiled, draw a card. Guilt Feeder is in here. 3 and 2 black, 0/4 with fear. So this creature can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or black creatures. Whenever Guilt Feeder attacks and isn't blocked, defending player loses 1 life for each card in his or her graveyard. Consuming Aberration, 3 blue black star creature horror. Consuming Aberration's power and toughness are each are each equal to the number of cards in your opponent's graveyards. So that's all of your opponents. Whenever you cast a spell, each opponent reveals cards from the top of his or her library until he or she reveals a land card, then puts those cards into his or her graveyard. Nath of the Gilt Leaf, 3 black green for a 4/4 legendary creature elf warrior. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may have At the beginning of your upkeep, you may have target opponent discard a card at random. Whenever an opponent discards a card, you may create a 1/1 elf warrior creature token. Ethereum Horn Sorcerer, 4 blue-red artifact creature Minotaur Wizard, 3/6, 1 blue-red, return Ethereum Horn Sorcerer to its own hand, and it has Cascade on it. As we saw earlier with Cascade, when you cast this spell, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card that costs less. You may exile it without paying its mana cost. Put the exiled cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. Dragon Mage, 5, 2 red for a 5/5 creature dragon wizard with flying. When Dragon Mage deals combat damage to a player, each player discards his or her hand and draws 7 cards. Blood Tyrant, 4 blue, black, red, 5/5 creature vampire with flying and trample. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player loses 1 life. Put a 1/1 counter on Blood Tyrant for each 1 life lost this way. Whenever a player loses the game, put 5 +1/+1 counters on Blood Tyrant. Chromatic Lanterns in here. This is 3 for an artifact with lands you control have tap. Add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool. Add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool. So that with this, when I played this particular card, it's really cool. I mean, it's fantastic mana ramping. Well, mana and fixing basically. In fact, I suppose strictly speaking, no, it isn't. It's not ramping, but the fixing that it gives you is incredible, because lands now have the ability to generate 1 mana of any colour. Burgeoning is in here. It's a single green enchantment. Whenever an opponent plays a land, you may put a land card from your hand onto your battlefield. So that's mana ramp. Waste Not, 1 black enchantment. Whenever an opponent discards a card, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Whenever an opponent discards a land card, add 2 black to your mana pool. Whenever an opponent discards a non-creature, non-land card, draw a card. Chaos Warp's in here. 2 and a red instant. The owner of target permanent shuffles it into his or her library, then reveals the top card of his or her library. If it's a permanent card, he or she puts it onto the battlefield. Evacuations in here. 2 and 2 blue instant. Return all creatures to their owner's hands. Wheel of Fate is a sorcery with suspend 4. So 1 and a red. Rather than cast this card from your hand, pay 1 and a red and exile it with 4 time counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove a time counter. When the last is removed, cast it without paying its mana cost. Each player discards his or her hand, then draws 7 cards. Decimate, 2 red-green for sorcery. Destroy target artifact, target creature, target enchantment, and target land. Whispering Madness, 2 blue-black sorcery. Each player discards his or her hand, then draws cards equal to the number of cards a player discarded this way. And this has Cipher on it. So when you may exile this spell card encoded on a creature you control. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player, its controller may cast a copy of the encoded card without paying its mana cost. Devastation Tide, 3 and 2 blue sorcery. Return all non-land permanents to their owner's hands. It's a miracle cost on here as well for 2 and a blue. You may cast this card for its miracle cost when you draw it, if it's the first card you drew this turn. So with these miracle cards, when you're playing in the sort of paper magic world, you have to be very careful that when you draw the card, you don't introduce it into your hand before you pay its miracle cost. So you sort of look at it as you pull it off the top of the deck, because once you introduce it into your hand, if no one's seen the card, then you can't necessarily prove that, you know, you've just drawn that card when it actually goes into your hand. Reforge the Soul, 3 and 2 red sorcery. Each player discards his or her hand, then draws 7 cards. Miracle, 1 and a red. So again, you can cast this card for its miracle cost when you draw it if it's the first card you drew this turn. Worm, Harvest, 2 black green hybrid mana. Sorcery, create a 1/1 black and green worm creature token for each land card in your graveyard. Hence the presence of a whole load of black and green worm tokens. Spell Twine, 5 and a blue, sorcery. Exile target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard and target instant or sorcery card from an opponent's graveyard. Copy those cards, cast the copies if able without paying their mana costs, and exile Spell Twine. Whims of the Fates, sorcery. Starting with you, each player separates all permanents he or she controls into 3 piles. Then each player chooses one of his or her piles at random and sacrifices those permanents. Piles can be empty. And that's for a cost of 5 and a red. So 5 and 2 red gets you Volcanic Vision. It's a sorcery. Return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Volcanic Vision deals damage equal to that card's converted mana cost to each creature your opponents control. Exile Volcanic Vision. In Garrick's Wake, 7 and 2 black. Destroy all creatures you don't control and all planeswalkers you don't control. So now we're moving on to the non-basic lands. So this is the stuff that's obviously going to help try and fix the mana that we sort of encounter with a 4-colour deck. So Exotic Orchard is in here, no surprise there. Tap, add to your mana pool 1 mana of any colour that a land an opponent controls could produce. Shadow Blood Ridge, 1 tap, add black red to your mana pool. There's some more islands here. Our swamps. So we've seen obviously some of this artwork before, but we won't have seen the artwork for the forests. There we go, just have a good look at those. Okay, moving back to our non-basic lands. Ash Barrens, tap, add colourless to your mana pool. Basic land cycling, 1 generic mana. So for 1 generic, discard this card, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. So you're going to see in a lot of these decks there's land cycling going on. Command Tower, tap, add to your mana pool 1 mana of any colour in your commander's colour identity. That's in all the decks. We've got Crumbling Necropolis, so we're going to see these sort of 3-colour comes into play tapped lands. And this one taps for blue, black or red. Dismal Backwater. When Dismal Backwater enters the battlefield tapped. Dismal Backwater enters the battlefield tapped. When Dismal Backwater enters the battlefield you gain 1 life. Tap, add blue, black to your mana pool. Evolving Wilds. It was also in the other deck that I unboxed. Sacrifice Evolving Wilds, search your library for a basic land card and put it into the battlefield, onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle your library. Frontier Bivouac. So this also enters the battlefield tap. The 3 colours here are green, blue and red. So my suspicions are in the decks we're going to see combinations of the Shards block 3-colour lands and the Khans block 3-colour lands. Jungle Hollow. Jungle Hollow enters the battlefield tapped. When Jungle Hollow enters the battlefield you gain 1 life. Add black or green to your mana pool. Opulent Palace. Another tap land, and this one taps for black, green or blue. Rakdos Carnarium. Enters the battlefield tap. When Rakdos Carnarium enters the battlefield, return a land you control to its owner's hand, so it bounces it. But the benefit with this is once you're able to tap it, it generates black and red. Reliquary Tower in here, so this helps with large hand sizes. You have no maximum hand size. Tap, add colourless to your mana pool. Rugged Highlands, another land that comes into play tapped. It gives you 1 life when it comes into play, and this taps for red or green. Rupture Spire, enters the battlefield tapped land. You have to pay 1 colourless, 1 generic mana, or sacrifice it if you don't, and it taps to add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool. I suspect we'll see this in all the decks. Savage Lands, 3 colour tap land, 4 black, red or green. Simic Growth Chambers in here, so this comes into play tapped. You have to return a land you control to its owner's hand, and it taps for green and blue. Swiftwater Cliffs, another enters the battlefield tap with life gain, just single life there, and that taps for blue or red. Terramorphic Expanse, sacrifice Terramorphic Expanse, search your library for a basic land card and put it into the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. And Thornwood Falls, another enters the battlefield tap and gain life. I'm also bolted onto this, and then you can tap it for green or blue once it untaps. And there you have it. So that's the second deck in the series of 5 decks here. This was the Entropic Uprising deck, and just going back through this, it was interesting to see in this particular deck that they had some mana fixing artifacts, which I think weren't in the other deck, and unless I accidentally skipped over them, I was actually quite surprised to not see them in that other deck. But I'm assuming there was other artifacts that they felt were more appropriate for that particular deck. So just to show you the commanders again, we've got Vol Smasher the Fierce, Thrasios Triton Hero, and Kaidel Chosen of Crucifix. So those are all our partner commanders, and then our lead commander is Yidris Maelstrom Wielder. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.